Hey guys, it's Stan. So as requested, I'm gonna go over the deck that I used at pre-release. That I was able to go 3-0 in, and I attribute the good deck to the cards that I pulled, and not my super awesome skill level. No, it's not. It's not. So probably the card that I actually didn't see at all, and because I sideboarded it out a little bit later, was this Inventor's Goggles. I had some artificers, so I decided I might try to use it. Never saw it. Ended up sideboarding it out. But I had a few different decks going on kind of at once. So first of all, I had some servos and some fabricate stuff. So I had a servo expedition. I had a seed sculptor, which basically puts a +1/+1 counter. My promo was a cultivator of blades, so it's very similar to Wild Beastmaster if you're familiar with that. And the fact that it has fabricate too, and we all know what fabricate does now. But when it attacks, you may have other attacking creatures get +X/+X until the end of turn, where X is Cultivator of Blades power. And I'll show you some really neat combos that I was able to do with that later on. But also, as you probably remember from the original video, I got a foil and a regular Master Tinkerer in the same booster. So I don't know what the likelihood of that is happening, but I have seen it happen probably twice in my lifetime. Or at least heard about it happening twice in my lifetime. So that was pretty neat. So I had I was able to go wide with the Thopters, or not Thopters, but the servos. And then here I kind of have a interesting flicker package. So I got this guy who is just 3 mana for a 3/2. It's just solid beater, and a lot of my success just came from having a bunch of 3/3s or 3/2s. But this guy gives a creature +1/+1 until the end of turn when he ETBs. So, I mean, you can usually get some value off of him, play a 2-drop turn 2, and then the 3, play it into that, and pump up the guy that's attacking, and get a pretty profitable attack. I was usually able to get in 3 damage turn 3 when I had this in my starting hand. Super easy. But what made this awesome is I had 2 aviary mechanics. So they're just bears, just grizzly bears, 2 mana 2/2s. But when they enter the battlefield, you may return another permanent you control to their owner's hand. So I would use this to flicker a lot of things. I mean, you can use this to flicker fabricate cards and get additional Thopters. I oftentimes would flicker this guy to get +1/+1 counters on my stuffs. It was just gross. I got so much value out of this. And then I also have a top-end version with the Wisp-Weaver Angel. And that just flickers a creature outright. I don't have to bounce it back to my hand and then recast it. But just a great top end. I had some trouble getting up to 6 mana to cast this, but when I did a lot of neat stuff with that. One of the things that happened was I played out my Cultivator of Blades, and I decided to create 2 servos, because I wanted to go wide. And then somebody ended up playing Malfunction on it, which tapped it and kept it tapped. It's an enchantment. So I was able to then get my 6 land drop, play the Angel, flicker this, and bring it back in, putting 2 more Thopters on the board, and that was kind of closing up the game. He was already at single-digit health, and he couldn't survive the onslaught of me just swinging him with a bunch of 2/2s. So that was nuts. That was the nuts. So the flickers really helped out with a lot of the value, and it allowed me to go Thopters, but also allowed me to go energy. So let's move over to energy. So I got a Riparian Tiger. So that's the 4/4, enters with 2 energy. You use 2 energy when it attacks, and you can get it +2/+2 until the end of turn. So you can attack as a 6/6 with trample for 1 turn. But I also had the Sage of Shyless Claim. So this actually wasn't all that great for me. I ended up sideboarding it out against artifact heavy decks. Once you see my sideboard, I have enough artifact removal, so I decided to sideboard this out in place of artifact removal. But I also had the White Thriving, the goat. And then I had, hold on. We'll see that in a bit. I actually had 3 Thriving Rhinos, which originally I ran all 3 because I started chaining them together, and it was just awesome. But later I actually decided to run something in my sideboard. I'll show you that when we get there. But I had 3 of those, so very consistent draws for this deck. And then I had a Deadlock Trap. I didn't use this too often. In fact, there were some times where I would have Thriving Rhino on board. I would swing with it, use the 2 energies that he came with to make him a 3/4. Then I would play the Deadlock Trap the next turn, swing again, and use the 2 energy that this produced, instead of using it for this ability, I would just give this thing another counter, so it made it a 4/5, and that was just really, really powerful. However, I did use this once to lock down my opponent's dude. He actually had, what was it? He had a Simic energy deck, and he had this guy, and he had like 10 energy, so he could swing with this, with the +2/+2 for days, but he also had a +1/+1 counter on it, so he'd be swinging in for 7 damage each turn. So I was able to deadlock trap it for 2 turns, and it gave me enough time to go wide, build up my board, and then just swing in, because he didn't have too much removal in that deck. Anyway, so that's my energy package. The only thing left is a few other things that I got. Couple combat tricks. I got a pressure point, which really not only helped me tap down a creature and kind of tempo out the game, but also drawing a card allowed me to draw into another land that I needed to make my land drop, which is nice. Impeccable Timing is always a fantastic card. Just 3 damage to an attacking or blocking creature. Realized that you can actually, because it's an instant, you can cast this on an X3. So what happened was somebody attacked with the Thriving Tortoise or whatever. I don't know what it's called, but it's a 0/3, comes into play with 2 energy, and you use 2 energy to give it a +1/+1 counter. In response to the +1/+1 counter, you can actually just Impeccable Timing and kill that thing before it gets bigger. And so this is actually really, really good for me. It usually killed the first creature of the game that attacked me and allowed me to set it up. Even though I was like aggro, even though I was mid-range, you know, I had a lot of 3-drops, but I was quite aggressive, so it was good to just get that early tempo play. Inspired Charge was amazing, especially when I was able to go wide, and I could just finish somebody off with an Inspired Charge. Really, really happy with this in this set. A little more happy in this set than I've been with Inspired Charge on other sets. Gear per Guide actually put in some work for me, making it so that target creature can't get chump blocked, essentially. And you'd be surprised how many 1/3s and servo tokens this just says you can't block with, and it's really, really strong. And again, a 3/2 for 3 mana, just another solid beater. So I really, really like that. And this is the mythic I pulled, Cataclysmic Gearhulk. I used this once, and it was pretty solid. I think it's one of the better Gearhulks to get in Limited. Not the best, but one of the better ones. I really, really like it. Sometimes I didn't cast it because I was going wide with Thopters, and it would have hurt me. But it was awesome to have this safety net. If if he just if my opponent pumped up their team and swung in, and I had to make a couple of unfavorable blocks, I could just totally do that and then have him wipe his board with the Cataclysmic Gearhulk. So it was a really, really excellent safety net. Go to my sideboard. Against artifact heavy decks, I had 2 Fragment Ties and an Appetite for the Unnatural, so that took care of any artifacts. And like I said before, I had 3 Thriving Rhinos, but I decided to sideboard one of them out for the rest of the games and use this 0/3 with Reach and Fabricate 1. I just didn't really like the stats on this initially, but I felt that the servo token was really good, and I had so much servo synergies that I decided to just, run it. And that I didn't need 3 Thriving Rhinos, especially because I had the Aviary mechanics to bounce the Thriving Rhinos back to my hand and re-get that energy. I really didn't need 3 of them, so I decided I'll just do the Highspire Artisan. And then Prophetic Prism I actually had a lot of fun with. I ended up putting this in halfway through just because I had one game where I had really difficult fixing, and this draws a card. And so I was actually able to, twice in one game, Aviary Mechanic, bouncing back Prophetic Prism, and then play it again and draw a card. And so that really kept me in the game and kept my card advantage pretty solid. But overall, this deck just ran like a hot knife through butter. Just super smooth, super happy with it. And as you can see, I mean, yeah, I got a Cataclysmic Gearhulk, and I had a couple of Master Trinketers, but I didn't even play those. I think the only rare that really just did some work was the Cultivator of Blades. But other than that, the rest of it is just solid creatures, solid 2/2s and 3/2s for 3. They just made it there. They just got in there, and I just kept bashing in. And I don't think there's any game where I was really like, oh man, I gotta hold back blocks. I mean, I was attacking every combat. It was just very good, really good feeling deck, and I just attributed this to that. This is just a very, very solid pool. But I got 6 packs for it, so I'm very, very happy. Loving the new set, loving the mechanics. Very swingy combat, very different from the grindy sort of card advantage losing stuff that we're getting in that we were getting in Shadows of Innistrad and stuff. Not that I don't like that, I did enjoy it, but I don't know, I guess Kaladesh just seems to fit my playstyle a little bit more. There's so many tweaks and knobs that you can do with Fabricate and how you play your spells, and I'm having a great time. So thank you so much for watching this video. If you liked it, hit that like button. It really makes us feel better, makes us feel like we're doing a good job. And leave a comment. We love to talk to you guys. We really do. And we'll see you guys later. Bye.